Hi, Laila. It's nice to meet you and finally kind of
You
sit down
too.
and have a chat. So, do you want to just start off by telling me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I grew up in West Hartford, Connecticut, and uh, pretty much have always been into performing. Like my joke is that I came singing and dancing out of the womb. It's like I gotta zazz the crowd. Just really, really into theater and singing, and always wanting to be the lead in the plays and musical theater and things like that. And I for college, I did 2 years of Wheaton College in Norton, Massachusetts, like a small liberal arts experience. And then I was like, oh, I should get a degree in communications. Let me switch over to UConn. And I did 2 years at UConn, University of Connecticut. And so I kind of got the small liberal arts and the large campus of best of both worlds. And I thought, I'll get a degree in communications. Maybe I'll work in like children's programming. Maybe I could be like a creative assistant at Nickelodeon or something because I was super into that. And it wasn't until 2 years after graduating college that I discovered through a friend of my mom's that you could actually study voiceover. And, that kind of was the game changer for me because, I'd grown up watching things like, Aladdin and Mrs. Doubtfire and Robin Williams kind of just changed my life. But again, it was just kind of a pipe dream for me back then. So I didn't know it was attainable. So I started taking classes and taking bus rides into New York for various different workshops, and slowly started figuring out how to become demo ready and make demos, and connecting with different agencies. And I started with casting sites, and then I was basically working. I had two soul crushing jobs out of college. One was an eligibility specialist for a health insurance company, and one was working at a temp agency interviewing people for office jobs and light industrial jobs. And all the while, I was once I was able to start focusing on it, I was every moment I could, I was studying voiceover. So I think I started studying in December of 2008. And in March of 2013, my demo producer, Roy Yokelson of Antland Productions, everybody calls him Uncle Roy, he sent my animation demo over to some friends at Disney. And they said, we'd like to have you come out for a general audition, which back in those days, you'd go in, they give you a bunch of scripts. They basically would see what you could do on the spot and create a makeshift demo from that, and basically be like, okay, now we know what they can do live, not just what's on their demo. Cause it's kind of like, can she replicate what she did? So I knew I was going to be out in LA for a week. So I was like, I got to milk this week for all it's worth. I scheduled a general at Nickelodeon. I had my general at Disney, scheduled events at Women in Animation, which is like a big networking group that has panels. I met with amazing voice actors for lunch, like Dave Fenoy, and just basically went out there, you know, to shoot my shot. And I had the general at Disney, and the casting director said, what's your goal? And I said, my goal is to get a pinky toe in the industry, and anything I can do to get out here, and especially work in cartoons and games. That's my ultimate goal. And she sent my demos over to Atlas Talent, and then that was on a Monday. By Wednesday of that week, I got an email saying we can start you on a trial basis. No promises, but we can start you for a couple months, see how it goes. And I said, give me a month. And I basically moved out here in May of 2013, right before I turned 30, before I escaped my 30, my 20s, and just started from scratch. Stayed with I've lived all like in all different places since then. Was doing Uber and Lyft driving and pet sitting and whatever I could to scrape by, until cut to 13 years later, I'm just working full time in all the genres that I've dreamed of working in now, which is the biggest blessing I could ask for. So that, in a nutshell, is my story.
That's, there's a lot of
and
grinding.
that's and that it was a lot of hustle.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. And there were a lot of bumps along the way. I jumping around from agent to agent. The thing that happened actually was that when I started on trial with Atlas after 3 months, the trial ended. They basically said, you need to do this, this, and this, take these workshops. I was competitive for Connecticut, but not for LA. And I didn't have the experience that I have now, like working with coaches all the time. And so I basically jumped around to a whole bunch of different agencies until I think 7 years later, I signed with Atlas. So it was kind of like I had to do a lot of different things to get to where I needed to be with the agency I've always wanted to be in. I had regional agents and things like that, but that was my goal, was to be with Atlas long term. So yeah, it's been a lot of hustle. It's been long weeks. And the first couple of years, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, man. It was really tough. I was calling home to my family. I don't know if I can make it. Just the stress of being able to survive in LA. And and it wasn't, when I tell people don't give up in this industry, it wasn't until like the 9th year of my voiceover career that I really started booking the dream jobs that I've been looking for, like the Disney, the Nickelodeon, the Cartoon Network, the Blizzard games, things like that. And I think half of it is just being stubborn enough and not giving up. And the other half is, you have to have the talent and be good to work, nice to work with, not be a jerk. That's a big one. Don't be a jerk, because nobody likes that. Leave your ego at the door. Nobody likes that. No, not nobody, not know how. And if you can, give your clients a kazoo solo. I find that a nice random kazoo solo when they can't see you in the booth is a fun way of breaking the ice.
You're giving away all of your high level strategies here.
Any sort of solo will do. If you got a triangle, just be talking to your client and then hold up disappear for a second and hold up a stuffed animal in front of the microphone and like, sorry, I disappeared. Yeah, I'm Miss Piggy now.
Well, but at the very least.
Yeah.
So it just kind of goes to show how important networking is.
Yeah.
What would you say that is the thing that really drove you to, like you mentioned, you were taking all of these kind of side jobs and stuff just to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. What is the thing that drove you to push through for nine years? Because it's not a small amount of time.
Yeah. Well, I just had very specific goals for the clients I wanted to work with. And one of the biggest ones was was Disney and Nickelodeon cartoons. Like, that was in the back of my mind. And I didn't care how long it took. I was just like, I'm going to go to the workshops for all the cast, read for as many casting directors as I can. I'm going to go to all the networking events. I'm going to schmooze all around. And I'm going to, learn how to connect with people on LinkedIn and whatever I can, because for me, there was no plan B. It was like, I either do this and be happy and joyful have in my career, or have a job that, that pays the bills, but isn't fulfilling my soul. So, and like I said, like I tell everybody, Robin Williams is like my reason for being. Is like, I kept thinking about his career. Of course, there's other inspirations. One of the most notable being Mel Blanc, but just, focusing on the people that I wanted to be like. And there's so many, and just having those dreams and keeping them at the forefront of my mind, and not giving up on them, because, especially the first 5 years of being out here, that's kind of the make or break time, and and the other part was just, the maintaining my own, mental health as an actor, and trying to have things in place so that I could do what I needed to do and feel that I could keep performing my best. So, because you kind of get thrown into this world, and I was very lucky to have wonderful mentors, but not everybody has that. So it's it's a lot to navigate. It's a lot to figure out, a lot of times on your own. So networking and connecting with people and having a support group of other voice actors, other people in the community that can say, hey, yeah, I went through this is what I did, blah, 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 has been amazing. And I feel like in voiceover, it's not it's more of a family feel. It's not like we're all fighting for the same job. We each have different things we bring to the table. So yeah.
It's fascinating. Every time that I've kind of sat down and spoke to someone in this kind of voice acting sphere, it's always a very different story that leads them to be where they are.
Yeah.
So that kind of like, I guess, probably builds this kind of community feel.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their
Definitely.
own struggles, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is like we all started from we all start not knowing what's going on, and then we get to a point where hopefully we can help others that are just figuring it out, because that's kind of key. We're all on just on the same on a similar journey, just at different points.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of on that kind of branch of the journey, what kind of role was it, do you think, that you landed, or when you were in the booth recording it, where you were like, okay, I think I'm over the hurdle now. I think I'm in.
Yeah. That was hands down has to be Mrs. Croker from Disney's Amphibia, honey. It was the first the first Disney cartoon that I ever booked, and it was the first time I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in a project for Disney as a recurring character in this big series that people know, with these incredible actors that I look up to. So yeah, I think, and I was still Uber driving when I got that email from my agent, and I just was like over the moon. And I think that has to be hands down the moment when I was like, okay, all right, it's all been worth it. Because then more things started happening after that. But that was like that was the moment I was like, okay, all right, I'm happy, I'm good. And
I imagine it's pretty surreal, because like even I'm aware that you grow up watching something like Disney. The
yeah.
idea of being involved in it in any capacity.
Yeah, it's surreal. It's very surreal. It's very weird. And it's almost like you disassociate from yourself for a moment when you see or hear yourself. You're like, wait, that's me. But it's just a really weird thing. So, yeah. But it was very exciting, and that was kind of the moment where I was like, all right, that was one of my dreams, and it came true. My Disney dream came true. So I was like, well, if that can come true, what else can come true? So I just, kept focusing on the things that I wanted. And more stuff slowly started to happen. And also, the more people know you and the more you work with them, the more that you get thought of for other projects. And, obviously, the more you're auditioning, the better chances you have, and the more you're working like regularly in other things so that people remember you. But yeah, I have to say that that's one of the biggest highlights of my career is Amphibia. And the second being Batman: The Long Halloween Part 2 as Sophia Falcone. Yeah, it's good times. Good times. A great cast, yeah.
So how does like animation compare to being as part of a video game? What are your favorite parts of each? You've clearly got like a very explosive kind of presence, just generally. So, what are your favorite kind of characters to play as well?
Well, for animation, I love. Actually, I have some overlap, but I usually get hired for like the badass or sassy characters. I like playing the lovable goofball, like the Patrick Star kind of things and things like that. Those are my absolute favorite. Anything where I can be like a really dorky goofball. And I also absolutely, for video games, I love playing villains more than anything else in the world, because there's this seductive power that you hold, and you get to explore different sides of your personality that don't normally get to. And and then a lot of aggro characters for video games. But then there's a lot of cinematic acting. So it's kind of A good example is like when I played Liberty Buchanan in Wasteland 3, I got to play this really juicy villain who was really angry at having been slighted over not being able to take over in comparison to her brothers, who were kind of idiots, and decided to take matters into her own hands. And what was I going to contrast that with? And then my brain jumped out of my head and came back 2 minutes later. And then there's more sympathetic villains like Sophia Falcone, where she's part of the crime family, but she also has this relationship with her father where she desperately wants to be seen as an equal, and she just doesn't feel like she gets the same respect as her brothers as well. So it's kind of like this dichotomy of like there's the really angry tortured villain, and then there's the the villain that's tragic in a sense, because she has this relationship with her father where she wants to be seen this certain way, and she doesn't feel like she has her voice, the level of assertion that someone else might have. So it's like you're this powerful, scary character, but then there's the side of you, and that's what I love about villains more than anything else, is like you're outwardly so scary, but inwardly there's always some sort of trauma or torment that makes this character raw and authentic and just multi-layered. So yeah, in general, more than anything, I love playing villains, sassy characters, and badass characters. Just a badass warrior, or an old lady who can't remember where she's going, but then she knows karate, whatever it is,
The huge range.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
If you were like hiding behind a curtain,
Oh yeah, I could be like a cab driver from the Bronx, exactly. Larry. Welcome to my shop. Whatever it is. Well, that's what's so great. You don't have to worry about people are just hearing you, so they're not seeing you. So you can be anything. It's like if you've got a crazy imagination, voiceover is like it's like your playground. Yeah, man.
You clearly put a lot.
Real talk.
A lot of thought into the introspection of your characters. Like
I like to reflect.
Yeah. So it's clearly like you kind of carry them a little bit in a bit of a corny way.
Yeah.
So when you're working as like an NPC character, kind of like a minor, like not even rank villain, kind of like goon, grunt, background character, do you put much thought into kind of the like inwardly about that character, or do you just kind of go, "It's a paycheck"?
No, I mean for every role you get, kind of the director will kind of break down the description of this character. Sometimes you don't have much to work with. Sometimes it is as simple as like, all right, it's a woman in a tavern and she's having a beer with her friends and go, or it's, this is a flirtatious lady and she's hanging out with this guy in the scene, and but she's really trying to distract him from what's going on behind the scenes, and other times you get much more detailed. I've seen auditions where they give you like 2 pages of information and then the actual audition's like 3 lines. So I think for every character, yeah, you want to have an element of yourself in it, even if it's just like woman number 3. The character has to have a soul, but will you have more or less information about the character depending on their level of involvement in the game? Sure. It's it's all improv too. It's a lot of moments of improv, because you might be oftentimes you'll be booked for a role and they'll be like, we want you to play these other 3 characters, which happens a lot with Disney too. It's like here's frog number 3 in the background. Can you be this one? Can you change up your voice for another one? Things like that. So it is kind of just like you think on your feet and you're like, okay, who can I be for this? And you try it out.
To be honest, that kind of nicely ties in with my next question that is actually listed this time.
Ooh.
I feel like sometimes we kind of just go off script,
Yeah.
So yeah, that sort of kind of putting a lot of thought into a character or lower level kind of NPC or something like that. You in the first kind of email that that I saw, that we got into contact about, you mentioned that you played some of the stalkers and the runners in The Last of Us 2. I always really admired the amount of detail that went into those kind of lower level infected zombies, basically. Basically zombies.
Yeah.
But because there's almost like, you can almost feel like a shred of the humanity still in them, like they're trapped inside.
That was,
which was always really haunting for me.
That was part of the direction, is like that the human side and the infected side are fighting each other.
So how much almost was that quite an improvised kind of?
No. So what happened was, for those recordings, I went into the studio, they give me a lav mic, and then they have a screen that projects every scene that we're doing. So it's like, in this scene, you have to eat the flesh of an animal, and the human part of you is disgusted that you have to do this, and the zombie part of you is like, I need this in order to survive. And then they'll show the loop of the animation several times, and you will just keep doing it until they're like, okay, that's enough, we're good. Like usually 3 or 4 times. Or I'll see a scene, I jump down, I roll over, I start fighting a human, and then they push me back, I have to react to that, then I get stabbed, I get lit on fire. Every single scene was I was following on the screen. So they're very specific, and it was quite the workout. You do that for a little while, like, all right, I need to go home and take a shower. You're just like, it's a lot, because you're doing multiple of each one, but it was also like, it's like you're literally in the moment, because whatever you see, you're doing.
Yeah, I know that Naughty Dog have like that kind of great attention to detail.
And their sound design. Yeah. Oh God.
That's why the games are so kind of renowned and cinematic.
Yeah.
Is that quite uncommon then?
No, I mean, I think that especially now with the way video games are, every video game I've seen is like a feature film. I mean, think of God of War. Think of even in like in Genshin Impact, when I'm walking around, I mean, I can see every detail on the stained glass windows. I can see, I feel like I'm in Beijing in certain scenes. Like, it's just like the attention to detail, and not just that, but the music, the all the different branches of dialogue. I mean, and then you're watching especially with the God of War, it's like you forget that you're playing a game. You're just like, this is, you see or another example is Lost in Random, which was a project I did with Zoinks Games, where it basically looked like a Coraline movie, like a version of, it was this incredible animation. And I watched all the cutscenes on YouTube, and I forgot it was a game, because I was just like, you get so immersed, and that's the goal of a really good game. I mean, of course, there's still gonna be the regular arcade games that you just, it takes me back, and you can't beat the classics, but nowadays it's like almost every single one is like, you're just jumping into a full movie that feels never ending almost. It's just the level of detail. It takes years to put together something like this.
It was the art design that drew kind of us to, like, me and my partner to Lost in Random, because it kind of scratches that Alice. Madness.
Alice in Wonderland, that's Coraline, and
scratches that itch. Like, we watch Coraline like relentlessly.
Right?
It's one of those films that you can always watch. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, you just have to be in the right mindset when you watch it. Otherwise, it's like, oh God, this is a little scary. Like, just focus on the animation.
Yeah. So you mentioned Genshin Impact, actually. Huge game. Like, it snuck up on me. I don't know how it got so popular without me realizing. And then one day I'm like, oh, this game is everywhere. What's it like to be included in a game like that?
It's crazy, because I've been in a lot of games, and they never had this kind of a fan base. You know, it's like it's really hard to describe. It's like all of a sudden, uh, everybody is cosplaying and making videos, and the my friend Christy Kate, who plays Chi Chi in the game, she was like, what was it, November of 2020, she was like, you need to get on TikTok. And I was like, why? She's like, all the Genshin fans are on TikTok. I was like, what? And then I did, and it was like a whole other world that I didn't even know about. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, and then I make one little video, and then all the fans like animated, and I cannot believe how popular this game has gotten. And also, as somebody who's been playing it for about a year and a half now, I'm obsessed with it. Like, I can't stop playing it. It's so much fun, and you just get so into the storylines and the adventures and the quests and the characters. And there's still so much I'm learning. I feel like behind the curve, but yeah, it's like a whole other world opened up being a part of it. And then all the castmates, like, we do stuff together. We have like a little events, or we play Among Us together, and it's like a family of the voice actor family, and then the fan family. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I'm kind of too afraid to play it because I feel like
it'll suck your life away.
That's it. I
have to give myself like a cutoff time, because you can easily, like, it'll be like 3 hours later, like, oh crap, I have stuff to do, and
that's it. It's that's.
But how great is that it's like a world that you can escape into, and you just like, like, oh, you lose track of time like that. It's
just crazy. I mean, also the TikTok thing, like the last the last interview that I had with Avalon Penrose, she mentioned TikTok as well. I feel like the universe is forcing me to start using it.
That's how I felt. I was very resistant at first, and then once I finally embraced it, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I hear you though. It's like another thing I got to do the stuff on.
How does it feel to kind of interact with the fan base on there?
Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And not just because of the funny things and the sweet things that people do, but there's the most moving thing is that there are people that have struggled with mental health issues, even self-harm issues, depression, and that my character, the character that I voice, Xiao, has been like a comfort character for them. Like, they've reached out to me and said that either a video that I did where I did something as the character, or playing as Xiao or something else, has helped them get through difficult times. And that kind of blew my mind. I was like, I've never had a character that people connected with on that level, that it actually helped them get through like really difficult times in their life. So that's a humbling moment. It's just like, what do you say other than that's absolutely incredible that something can move people like that, and to be able to be a part of that is such a blessing.
What is it about that character that you feel is something that people connect with like that?
I think Xiao is a tortured soul. He's the only one left of the vigilant yakshas. Everybody else has died, and he's forced to continue protecting protecting people around him. But the price he pays is memories of all the people he's lost, being very distant from. It's kind of like it's like this mysterious side to him, but then there's this very painful side that you can see, because there are moments of vulnerability in his character where he kind of breaks the facade of always being really tough and emo. And I think that, and especially for teenagers, I mean, that's something we're all going through. We're all going through, like, who am I? What's going on? Oh, I'm dealing with so much angst. And I think that he's a very relatable character in that sense. And especially if you're going through a hard time, to have a character that like is very kind of real with what's going on with them. And you can see you can see both the light and dark sides of Xiao, which I think that's what I find most intriguing about that character. Yeah, he's not just like a bad boy or like, things like that. It's like uh there's this real sweet side almost to him that comes out in moments, but it's like he has to protect himself and hold it back. So yeah, I think, I mean, that's what I connect with for sure.
I always really find it interesting how people kind of identify with characters like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of changing gears real quick.
Yeah.
Hades. It's a pretty big
Yes.
deal. Pretty big deal.
Yes.
You play Persephone and
Demeter.
I thank God. I was about to say Demeter.
I have Demeter. Yeah, I think I've heard both pronunciations, but yeah, we go by Demeter. So I'm my own grandma.
So what's it like? You're clearly very, as a voice actor, you're very good at switching voices. How does it? Do you have to kind of sit back and kind of get into the zone of these different characters, or does it kind of just, you can switch like that?
Well, I've done like promotional videos where I kind of bounced back and forth between the characters, but normally when you're recording, it's always just that one character. You listen to the reference and then you're just playing that character for the day. So I did all of my work as Demeter, and then a couple of months later, they were like, the team over at Supergiant was like, we have an audition for you for something else we think you'd be right for Persephone, but she's like a lighter, not so cold persona. She's much more welcoming and warm, and so yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, if I needed to have them dialogue with one another, I would, but essentially for anything that you're working on in animation or games, they'll give you the reference, you listen, and then you kind of get into the zone. And then, I was focusing on, as corny as it sounds, the motivations for my character, what it is that, what does Demeter want versus what does Persephone want, and also what are their personality types. So there's this cold iciness, while also kind of delivering shade that that Demeter is really good at, whereas Persephone thought that her son was dead, and then she discovers he's alive, and there's this reminiscing and pain that she's going through and longing to continue her relationship with her son, and all these other things. So they're very, very different characters, but in terms of the actual sound, Supergiant wanted the transatlantic accent, so it's not full British. It was kind of a light, semi-ambiguous tone, and then it was really just their personalities and their pitches are very different. Their whole modes are different. I hope that answered the question.
No, it does. Yeah, it's kind of,
that's the ADD version of the answer I'd like to give.
Kind of like, even though you can jump between them, you kind of don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So gonna start moving towards the end. So the questions are gonna get more general again.
All right. The bonus round. I've got my hand on the buzzer. 75. Sandwich. Pagoda. We have fun.
Yes. Well, the last thing anybody wants to watch, I guess, is just two people like, "Are you happy?"
So what do you do?
What's it like voice acting?
What's it like? What's it like? What do you feel? What are your feelings about life?
The thing you do with your voice.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Do some things. Amuse me.
Yes. Okay. Voice acting. What was the most rewarding part of it, like your day to day?
Oh, I mean, I think anytime that I have an opportunity to really delve into a challenging role where I'm not just, a kind of a two-dimensional or semi-fleshed out character, where I get to be something that really challenges me as an actor, or just voicing a character that you know I really connect with, that feels like, it's like when I get an audition and I look at it and look at the picture or I look at the description and I'm like, this person has elements of me. I really connect with this. And then to not only audition and feel good about it, but then to book that character, I think is one of the most and then getting that session or however many sessions as that character, it's one of the most rewarding feelings, because it's like, I mean, obviously as actors, we all need to start our mornings off with a hot cup of validation, but you do like to feel validated that you're making some good choices and that what you're doing is on the right track. But I think more than anything, it's like getting to play as something that challenges you, or that you just really dig, like just something that you're just like, this is fun, or this is more intense than I thought. This is a really a character that has to break down and sob, or mourn the loss of someone, or someone that just overcomes a huge obstacle and becomes stronger, or a tormented character, and of course, just in the day-to-day, whatever it is that I'm doing, whether it's a commercial, a narration, cartoon, it's getting to be like, look back on when I was doing those day jobs and think like, I'm doing what I love now. Like, no matter what it is every day, if I'm having a stressful day or I'm overwhelmed, I just have to remember in that moment, I am so lucky to be doing what I love. And it really is great for all us big kids at heart, because you get to play every day. I mean, what more could you ask for? And that's my feelings about life. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. And that's all she wrote.
Oh man. So in some horrible bizarro world where you're not a voice actor, dun dun dun. What do you think that you would be doing?
Oh, well, back in the day, I used to do a lot of theater and musical theater, but that's when I like actively memorized. now I'm like, oh my gosh, if I have to memorize like a minute, it takes me so long. So I mean, I think if I didn't have voiceover, I might be pursuing maybe comedic on-camera commercials or something like that, which I've still toyed with the idea of, but I've just been all my time is always in the booth, so I haven't yet thought of doing that. But definitely, probably it would have to always still be something in the acting realm. Maybe something another creative development type position, but I don't think I would be fully happy unless I was performing. So I probably would be trying to be working in like on-camera commercials, stuff like that. Yeah.
Very performative.
Very performative. I mean, another dream is to be like on a show like Whose Line Is It Anyway, and just do musical or anything that involves musical improv. I'm obsessed with musical improv, or just improv in general. But that would also be an amazing dream.
See, like for me, it would be astronaut.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, okay. There's a very strange apocalypse, right? Setting the scene, and for some reason, all the world's luxuries have been removed. You have all your basic necessities met quite happily, but all luxuries just gone. what would be the one luxury that you would keep around, and why is that?
Oh wow. Wow. That's a tough one. Well, massages. Does that count as one of the luxuries?
That's definitely a luxury.
I could not go without massages. Not for a moment.
That's
A good chiropractor slash massage therapist. I speak for a living. Slash. Yeah. You know, that I definitely could not live without.
that was an unanticipated answer.
Yeah.
The usual answer I feel like is more along the lines of coffee, so that's definitely more interesting.
Oh man, I'm not into coffee,
really?
and that's it. No, I actually, well, years ago I used to drink coffee, and then I cut out caffeine. It was also, for the vocal cords and a lot of other reasons. So yeah, I can do without coffee, but don't take my chiropractor or massage therapist away, because Mama needs to relax. After a long couple of weeks, you gotta unwind and have a bubble bath.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah, you need that. You need to stress relief, whatever,
Definitely. What now you don't have to be in it yourself. It can be something that you enjoyed growing up or enjoy now. Is there a particular piece of media that you really kind of hold really specially, like has a really special place in your heart?
Rocky and Bullwinkle and Darkwing Duck. Those are two of my favorite shows growing up. I mean, Rocky and Bullwinkle for its incredibly highbrow humor and variety and the talents. I mean, you just could not beat. And then Darkwing Duck, because it was one of my idols, Jim Cummings, and the entire cast was phenomenal, and just the humor, the comedy, the subtle the jokes that I did not get as a child, that now I look back and I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Like, I mean, I have so many, but those were and also Goof Troop. I mean, I could go on and on. The whole Disney lineup. Half of I lived during the Nickelodeon Renaissance also, when like we had Snick and we had Doug and Ren and Stimpy, and I mean, those all played a pivotal role. But Rocky and Bullwinkle, I think, is like the pinnacle of perfection when it comes to like something you want to idolize in cartoons. Yeah.
Well, I love that you just had those. Boom, ready to go.
Oh man,
so quick.
Yeah, cartoon junkie. I literally, like, every morning before school I would watch James Bond Jr. and then Rocky and Bullwinkle, and people are like, there was a James Bond Jr. show? Yes, look it up. It was okay, but Rocky and Bullwinkle was part of my routine every morning.
I've never heard of James Bond Jr., but I will look it
up. But yeah, no, I was very into Rocky and Bullwinkle. I even tried drawing a comic strip of it once. It was Bullwinkle. Bullwinkle tries to bulk up, so he goes to the gym and he sees all these like really muscular guys, and he's like, I am a wimp. And then he goes to this lady, and she gives him something that's supposed to like bulk him up, and he starts working out, and then he gets really jacked, and then he's like, hooray. And then some like evil villain gives him something that he thinks is going to make him even stronger, but it zooms in on the label and it says, lower your muscles pills. So he takes it and he's like, I am now a wimp. and Rocky's like, strength isn't everything. But of course I was a kid, so I wrote, strongness isn't everything. Just really dorky. I was so into it. I was like drawing it while I was watching it. Just really, dorky things like that.
You have to question how well those pills probably sold on the show.
Lower your muscles pills. Oh God.
Well,
memories.
This has been very fun. Is there anything that you want to promote? anything that you're working on that you're kind of
Ooh.
excited to tell anyone? Anything I can link when I put this up?
There's a couple things that I can talk about. One is a new anime movie called Sing a Bit of Harmony, where I play Mitsuko, the mom. That was out on limited release in certain theaters. I believe it will soon be available on home video. What else can I talk about? There is...
So where can anyone watching just find you? Like,
Gotcha. So all my social media handles are on my website, lailaberzins.com. But I'll give it now. Just they're all different, unfortunately, because this was back when I didn't know. Oh, I should make them all the same. TikTok is Laila Berzins Voice. Instagram is LailaB_voiceovers. Twitter is LBerzins_voices. Facebook is Laila Berzins Voiceovers. YouTube is Laila Berzins Voiceovers. I post a lot of stuff that I post on TikTok on my YouTube. And if you can't find any of that, just go to lailaberzins.com and all my contact information's there. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, it's been fantastic talking with you.
You
it's
too.
been really enjoyable. So thank you.
A pleasure.